Ask anyone outside the industry what a construction supervisor does, and you will likely get the same answer: an older, experienced tradesperson who walks around the site telling people what to do and checking their work. For decades, the role was defined by a clipboard, a physical set of rolled-up plans, and a highly reactive management style. But in 2026, operating on that analog baseline introduces systemic risk to a project. Today's professional supervisor operates as the central nerve of the entire project. They are the critical operational link, translating the highly technical, office-generated designs from engineers and architects into the physical reality executed by subcontractors. While a project manager plans and coordinates the project commercially from a desk, the site supervisor physically owns the site. They are responsible for delivering the plan. This requires fluency across dozens of specialized disciplines. They have to verify datum setouts, coordinate the complex rough-in of electrical and HVAC services, and perfectly sequence the finishing trades. But holding that technical trade knowledge is merely the entry requirement. In the modern regulatory environment, knowing how to build is no longer enough to succeed in professional supervision. Under Western Australia's Building Services Registration Act of 2011, the role carries specific, heavy legal weight. Every registered building contractor must have a nominated building practitioner. This individual is legally responsible for supervising all building work carried out by that contractor. This regulatory environment is tightly monitored and enforced at the state level. If a contractor operates without a nominated supervisor at any point, they commit an offense carrying an immediate penalty of up to $25,000. The legal stakes compound further under the Work Health and Safety Act 2020. This legislation operates on the PCBU model, person conducting a business or undertaking, which places positive duties directly on the supervisor to manage risk proactively. The 2020 Act introduces criminal offenses for gross negligence causing death. A supervisor who fails to enforce safety protocols is exposing themselves and the corporation to industrial manslaughter charges and millions of dollars in fines. The modern supervisor's primary function is constructing a legal shield for the project and the company. They do this through absolute, documented regulatory compliance. The educational baseline for assuming this legal responsibility in WA is the Diploma of Building and Construction. But a diploma only provides the theory. A professional must be able to look at a live site, verify structural load paths on a tablet, and immediately identify anomalies in complex services before concrete is ever poured. How this technical knowledge is applied depends entirely on the sector. Residential and commercial construction operate under completely different scales of complexity. Residential supervision requires horizontal scaling. A supervisor might manage 20 to 30 separate homes simultaneously, a complex logistical exercise in parallel scheduling across a wide portfolio. Commercial supervision demands vertical scaling. Here, complexity is concentrated into a single geographic node, managed through intense critical path methodology. This requires deep expertise in highly engineered systems, post-tension slabs, synchronized vertical transport, and complex fire protection grids. Whether managing 30 spread-out slabs or one towering transfer structure, the scale of the operation dictates the supervisor's daily management rhythm more than the building materials themselves. Communication failures cause more project collapses than a lack of technical skill. Every day, the supervisor sits at the center of a dense communication network, directing traffic between clients, architects, subcontractors, and engineers. They must constantly code switch, translating complex delays into plain language for an anxious homeowner, then pivoting to highly precise technical directions for an engineer. This brings us to the SHIELD protocol. Every professional conversation, instruction, and decision must be backed by a contemporaneous written record. The daily site diary serves as the core of this record. It logs weather impacts, site visitors, and safety incidents. In the event of a dispute or insurance claim, this diary becomes admissible evidence. When design changes or latent conditions arise, the supervisor must issue variation notices immediately. Capturing out-of-scope work before it is executed protects the project's profit margins. Without rigorous documentation, a verbal agreement is a liability. The written record is the difference between a supervisor being legally protected or personally liable. Time on a construction site is entirely interdependent. A single missed sequence during the timber framing stage will push back the roofers, the plumbers, and the electricians, tripling the delay by the time you reach practical completion. Managing that compounding complexity requires strict organization. Relying on whiteboards in memory is a guaranteed path to failure. Supervisors now rely on an integrated digital suite, accessible directly from the dirt of the site. It starts with high-level scheduling and critical path method tracking, allowing the supervisor to see exactly which delayed tasks will push the final handover date. Daily operations run through comprehensive project management software. This handles live site diaries, defect logging, and tracking requests for information in real time. For heavy commercial builds, enterprise-grade document control tracks every revision and manages formal communications with the project superintendent. And for precise technical clarity, specialized software allows supervisors to mark up drawings live and resolve design conflicts directly with the architectural team. These tools do not manage the site on their own. They amplify the supervisor's technical judgment, allowing them to coordinate hundreds of moving parts with precision. Quality control is not about catching mistakes after they happen. Professional supervisors operate on a strict principle. Quality is built in, not inspected in. This requires a proactive methodology. The supervisor briefs the subcontractor on the exact tolerances before they pick up a tool, eliminating reactive rework. They enforce a strict stage gate sign-off system. The following trade is completely barred from commencing their work until the previous stage is verified and passes the required inspection and test plan. In Western Australia, these stage gates align with mandatory legal hold points: pre-pour footings, structural framing, wet area waterproofing, and practical completion. These require independent sign-off from a certified building surveyor. And a professional supervisor never authorizes a subcontractor's final payment until every item assigned to them on the digital defect register is fully rectified. By engineering quality at the front end of the process, the supervisor secures the project's profitability and safety at the back end. The 2026 site supervisor functions as a legal representative, a systems engineer, and the definitive leader of the physical site. Reaching this level requires a minimum of 7 years of documented experience to achieve registration, followed by ongoing continuing professional development to stay current with building codes. They lead by example. They wear their PPE without exception and hold everyone on site to the exact tolerances they expect of themselves. For those entering the field in Western Australia, the primary pathway to this registration is delivered through the Master Builders Association. Building excellence is not achieved by accident. It is the direct result of a professional supervisor combining deep technical competence with uncompromising digital documentation to deliver the design exactly as drawn.